Welcome to Dune Chapter by Chapter. I'm Dominic. So in the last chapter, we saw the Muad'Dib and the Fremen make their first strike against the Emperor and the Harkonnens. So we saw that they were watching them from a hiding place in the rocks, and that they were amazed at this huge tent that they seen, metal tent at the base of the Emperor's Highliner that was on the landing strip there, and it was big enough that it could house 5 legions of Sardaukar. We also see all the Harkonnens are there as well, and so in that chapter, Paul decides to blow open the shield wall with atomics, and also time their attack at the same time that the enemy is hit by a sandstorm. Because what the sandstorm will do, it'll actually take out their shields, because it creates so much static electricity and such a static charge that actually shorts out the house shields, so their shields will be useless in the storm. So then Paul and the Fremen can attack. And also in that chapter, we find out that there was a raid against the Fremen, that Alia was taken captive, and Paul's son Leto is dead, was killed in that raid. So there's that. So now in this chapter, we get to see what's going on inside of that tent. And so now the Baron Harkonnen has been summoned before the Emperor. So he's all nervous. Things haven't been going well on Arrakis. The spice production has been suffering. Rabban had to be cut off. He was doing such a bad job. He was all isolated. So the Baron's plan to just let Fade Rauta swoop in and take over, it's not really working out the way he wanted it to. And so now the Emperor calls him before him, and it's kind of interesting because now you can see so far in all these chapters that deal with the Baron Harkonnen, he's always like the top dog of whatever situation he's in. Even with Sardaukar, even though he kind of watches a little bit against them because they are the Emperor's personal guards. And but even still, but now you can see he's really having to eat some crow. He's really going down, and he's all nervous as the Emperor summons him, and he takes the bows 10 paces away and all this, and his eyes are darting. I find that funny how it describes in the book, like his eyes darting back and forth between the guild members who are there, the Emperor, and all the Sardaukar, and he's just like taken back by how lavish this tent is. Like the Emperor has everything in this tent, even this huge his huge throne that was carved out of almost like an emerald stone with streaks of blue and yellow in it, and all this. So it's this almost like a bluish green stone, and it just sounds really decadent. Like all of his court jesters and everything you could want, all of his hairdressers, everything, like totally decadent. It's in this gigantic tent. And so you can kind of see the Emperor's kind of playing games with him, making him more and more nervous than what he is. And so then he starts asking, do you know who Muad'Dib is? What's going on with these Fremen? And then the Emperor just, they're just crazy, these Fremen, they're, you can't talk any sense to them, and their women throw their babies on our weapons and then throw themselves to make an opening for their men, and there's nothing you can do with them and all that. So the Baron's trying to downplay the whole problem of the Fremen to the Emperor, because the Baron he never took the Fremen serious, and it was to his own detriment. He just thought, they're just some wild savages out there in the desert, just a few here and there. But now the Emperor is starting to realize there's something more to this, because it's disrupting spice, and it's got the Spacing Guild spooked. That's why there's 2 members of the Spacing Guild there. There's like a short fat one and a tall fat one. And they want to know what's going on. And so the guy who was left in charge of Arrakis was House Harkonnen, and Baron's there to answer what the hell is going on. So then the Emperor starts to explain, I sent like a bunch of my Sardaukar on a raid to raid these Fremen. He said, and my Sardaukar were supposed to take a bunch of captives. They only took like a handful of captives. And he said they were driven back by a army of Fremen that consisted of old men, women, and children. That's how savagely they fought. And then he said the one leading the charge was a child. And so he says, like, what's going on here? He's like almost demanding answers, and the Baron doesn't know what to say. He just said, well, see, that's what I'm saying. They're so mad. They're so wild. They're so crazy. And so then he brings out Alia. So Alia's been captured. They bring her out. She's been brought out. She's one of the ones that was captured. She was the one leading the charge. They bring her out to the Baron, and then right away, because her mother, the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohim is there with the Emperor. That's her truthsayer. She's there, and this unnerves the Baron. But what unnerves him even more is the sight of Alia, because he sees like this little girl who's basically like a toddler, but she walks like an adult. And then what spooks him even more is he sees the Reverend Mother is taken aback and spooked by this child. So then Alia starts to introduce herself and all that, and she's like totally defiant, even to the Emperor himself. She just lips him right off, which I find amusing. And then the Baron Harkonnen, he doesn't know what to think. He thinks it's just like just a midget, and is this what this is? This can't be a child the way it's talking. He doesn't know what to think of this thing. And he's totally taken aback by it. And so then in this, it's revealed to now finally the Baron realizes that his plan didn't work, because they start questioning, well, who's this Muad'Dib? Do you know who this Muad'Dib guy is? How did he come up and all this? And then the Baron saying, oh no, he's just a religious crazy guy and all this, until Alia comes out and she reveals, I'm Alia, the daughter of Duke Leto and Lady Jessica. And so the Baron doesn't know what to do now. And so even the Emperor is like surprised, like, what am I supposed to do here now with this mud hole planet? You forced me to come here and all this. And so anyway, Alia is like totally confident, and she says, well, I allowed myself to get captured, and my brother Muad'Dib, who is Paul Atreides. And so then the Baron's really taken back, because now Paul Atreides is Muad'Dib. He was alive the whole time. He's the one that's causing all this trouble, and he's on his way. And now the Reverend Mother is freaking out, because now she has like the same memories as Alia. They're almost like their memories are intermingling somehow, which it's not really telepathy, but it's something kind of similar. And so the Reverend Mother tells them, well, you got to kill this abomination child right now. She tells them, you can't waste any time. You got to kill this abomination. And then Alia's, doesn't even, like the Reverend Mother is nothing to her, because Alia has all these lifetimes of experience. So she might look like a child, but she's not. She just tells, whatever, you're nothing to me, to the Reverend Mother. And so then while all this is going on, then they hear a loud rumble and they're attacked, and part of the tent is blown open, and then the Fremen are attacking, and so now they've got to scramble, get the Sardaukar going. And so then the Emperor tells the Baron, okay, you know what, you just kill this stupid kid and give her body to the storm. And so she pretends to be like scared, and the Emperor is pretending to back up and backs up into the Baron Harkonnen's arms, but then she uses the Gom Jabbar to cut him open on his arm, and then he freaks out, but we all know the Gom Jabbar is like instant poison. So then now we see in this chapter, the Baron finally bites it. He gets what's coming to him. He gets killed off by an Atreides, and the death of Duke Leto and Jessica has been, or the death of Duke Leto and the destruction of House Atreides is getting avenged here. She kills the Baron, who is part of the scheme of all this. And then we even get described the Emperor's point of view as he sees all this coming in. It's like a sight, he can't believe it. As he sees this huge sandstorm coming in on him, all the sand coming in, piling in through this hole that was blown in the shield wall. Part of his tent has been blown open, and he sees like all these gigantic sandworms coming in and people riding them. And he doesn't know what to think. It's like a sight he's never seen before. And then all the Sardaukar are taken back. Like they're trained for fighting guys, but not like this, not these giant worms. They don't even know what to think of this. So then you have all these men jumping off the worms, and they're battling it out with the Sardaukar, and there's the Sardaukar getting slaughtered and all like that. And then Alia leaves with a knife, escapes while all this chaos is going on. And she actually goes out, and any wounded Sardaukar soldier she sees, she ends up killing them and taking their, so their bodies can be taken for their water and that later on. And this was kind of, when Paul tells her, his mother, this was kind of shocking to her, but but this is what Alia is doing. This, because Alia is not like, because it's still hard for people to wrap their head around Alia, because she still looks like a child, but she's really not a child. So you have that going on. So just really like this chapter, just a crazy chapter. And you finally get to see the end of the Baron Harkonnen, how he finally bites it. And in this chapter, this is the first and only, well, this is the first chapter where really the Emperor makes his first appearance in the book, is this chapter right here. Because throughout all the rest of the book, we always hear about the Emperor, and even the Princess Irulan, she does the intros to the chapters and stuff. It's her, kind of her narrating the story, but we don't really see her really until, this chapter, because the Baron talks about how she looks, and tall and blonde and beautiful with green eyes and all that. And so this is the first time we get to see her as well. So this is the first introduction really of these characters, and it comes at the end of the book. And so now the chapter ends with, now that they know it's Paul, the Reverend Mother, now she realizes Paul is the Kwisatz Haderach, and she realizes, we don't control him, we got to do something to end this. So her and the Emperor kind of get together, and they figure out, we got to get rid of him, and the only way we can do it is treachery. So then they decide to bring in Count Fenring, and that's how this chapter ends. So, in a good chapter, I like this chapter. Now the next chapter is the final chapter. So the next one will be the final one, and it's a good chapter. I really like that one. It has a great ending, and really good chapter. But we're finally there. It took me a while to get there, but we will be at the final chapter, the next video. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one.